All right, cool. Unmuted. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Wisconsin Wrestler Podcast, powered by WI Wrestle. I'm your host, Teague Fenwick, coming to you from Holman. Joining me, as always, is my co-host from Waterloo, Steve Lurkwin. Steve, great to be here.
Hey, pumped to be here, man. It's the greatest time of year, isn't it?
Greatest time of year, and Steve, we kind of have a new home base a little bit. It's a little bit of big news today. Yeah,
it's crazy. I'm a little bit nervous to be doing this. I've always said, and I've stole this line from numerous people, but I have a face for radio, and going live makes it a little bit nervous that people can see it.
Well, if I have like my light on up here, I look like it looks a little melancholic with my face, but now I just look very gray. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna need to figure out the visual thing as well. But
Nice.
you know, we'll make do with what we got.
What are you saying? You're gonna have to start adding makeup or something, or what?
Maybe.
Not that far.
Yeah, we'll see what we can do. I think as long as we can talk some good wrestling, we'll be fine. But
yeah,
Steve, is the timing of this is grand because we got probably one of our could be longest episodes that we have of the year tonight with our regional preview. So I'm gonna give us about like 3 to 5 minutes just to dissect things here real quick. So we did merge with WI Wrestle. And just a little introduction, because I'm guessing there's 3 different crowds we got to address. For the folks that like WI Wrestle and the podcast, you're probably just really pumped about this. You got everything you want all in one place now. If you are WI Wrestle fans and you're just being introduced to us, well, I'm Teague. He's Steve, as we introduced. And we're just made the podcast like 4 years ago, and we're just really big fans of wrestling. And we love talking Wisconsin wrestling. And there wasn't a podcast for it at the time, so we decided to make one, and now here we are. We could talk about all our content and whatnot at a different time, but yeah, I'm glad to have a little new fan base here. We might have some inside jokes, might have some nicknames for kids. We're like, what are these guys talking about? Just run with it. I would say we're a show that definitely rewards the consistent listener in those terms, but for the folks that are Wisconsin Wrestler Podcast fans, if you're not watching live right now, so Steve, yeah, we have like 2 crowds to listen to now. We got the live crowd, right, and then we're still going to be releasing our podcast on iTunes, Spotify, all of that good stuff. I would say the one major change would be that when we do streaming, it will be on Rockfin, and people do have to pay for that. But I would say with the production value that they have on there, you get a lot of bang for your buck. It's definitely worth it. And you get really good interviews. You get rankings. It's $14.99 a month on Rockfin. But all our podcasts, all our social media, the stuff that we do in the off season with the hypothetical tournaments and whatnot, that's all free. So, like I said, not a whole lot of big changes. And we start streaming with WI Wrestle, Steve, with a big one. I mean, we're going to be in Cashton next week for the D3 Sectional C team section.
See, that gym is going to get loud.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a fun one. Talk about starting off with a real bang on that one. But, yeah, I would say, Steve, for giving like a 4-minute synopsis that we that's about all we can do, but we have a lot of wrestling to talk, folks. I think last year this one was like an hour and a half. Might be a little longer this year. So with this regional preview that we do, we try to touch on every regional. And basically what I'd say we do is we give a Spark Notes edition of the sectional previews that we did in the fall. And I would just say if you're a really big fan of a certain regional or sectional and that's all you care about, then this might not be the episode for you. But if you want to know about different sectionals, different regionals, big names that you want to keep track of, then this is a great episode. We're just going to be listing all the returning state qualifiers and place winners that'll be wrestling this weekend. It might not be totally accurate because I pulled notes from our preseason, but to try and update all of that, it's a lot of bandwidth to get through in just a couple of days right after our conference recap. So
agreed.
Yeah. What do you
Teague and for everybody out there too, it just so happens to be my role in this particular episode is not as in depth, so it just happened to be a little bit more of the eye candy in this one, and I say that tongue in cheek, but I am manning the comments. So if people have comments, things you want to add about a particular regional, that'll be mine. Teague will be doing most of the talking this one, and then we'll just keep firing away. I'm going to say that. I'm also going to say one more thing. I love this time of year, but it's also an emotional time of year, right? I mean, we have seniors' careers that are ending this weekend, whether it be regionals, whether it be sectionals, whether it be state, and we don't take that lightly around here. We like to talk about all different levels of wrestlers, and I just, like I said, when seniors' careers end, and maybe that senior, whether he's on your team or not, go up and give him a fist bump, put your arm around him, give him a hug, and let him know that you appreciate him for being in the sport, because we all know wrestlers work hard. They're tough individuals, and I've always said, once a wrestler, always a wrestler. So make sure you thank those guys as their careers end, whether it be any time in the next 3 weeks.
Couldn't have put it any better myself, Steve-O. Hey, we already got some comments, too. We got a faithful listener, Jason Rodriguez, on YouTube. Pretty pumped for the postseason. And, yeah, Jason, maybe some eyeliner would be good for me. Steve, in regards to your comment, I mean, you'll make great eye candy night. But, yeah, I'm going to be doing a lot of talking, maybe a little speed reading here. And then RQ, yeah, I agree, man. It's going to be a fun one. I think a lot of people are pegging it as it's almost a de facto state final, but I think there's a school in the northeast part of the state in Division III that would have other thoughts on that. But speaking of Division III, Steve, we're actually starting off with Division III tonight. Going to be starting off with the Edgar sectional. So looking at the Cumberland regional. One nice thing about going live too, folks, if we list a name where a kid's not wrestling or we have questions, we ask a lot of questions when we pre-record, and they don't always get answered. So maybe we'll get some more answers on stuff we have. But starting off with the Cumberland Regional. So the Cumberland Regional is returning 7 state qualifiers, 5 place winners, and 1 champion from last year. Oh, I got to correct myself. The Super Regional, D3 and D2.
Super, that's right. Yeah. That's going to take a little time to change our vernacular on that one, right?
Exactly. So just running through the list here, we got Kane Johnson of Cameron, who took 6th at 113 pounds. Mitch Anderson of Clear Lake, who was 5th at 126. Dominic Lines of Clear Lake, who was 5th at 138. Tyler Sunday of Clear Lake, who took 4th at 145, finishing off their trio of place winners. You have Dawson Johnson of Cumberland, already with 2 state titles under his belt. He was the state champ at 120. Jack Chafer of Cumberland returned, and he made to the Cole Center at heavyweight. Then Matthew Roach from Ladysmith qualified at 182. Steve, I forgot to tell everyone, we talk about our predictions as well. We're big predictions guys. We love to get that conversation going as well. We're hoping now that we're on Rockfin, we can get a whole different community to kind in. And, people like to razz us on our picks. We're definitely, we love to take a little heat on those. So it's always fun to have.
We're good at taking them.
So, Steve, picks-wise here for the Super Regional, I picked Clear Lake and Cumberland. You picked Clear Lake and Ladysmith in this one. So, already starting off with some separate picks here.
Right away. Yeah, and feel free to put in your chats if you have a pick. I'll go ahead and say I'm on here. I still think Clear Lake is the top pick. They're going to pick up a lot of points. But Teague, number 2 is wide open. We really like Turtle Lake Clayton this year. We talked a lot about them and the big jumps they've made over the last 3 years, building numbers. Unity, Phillips, Ladysmith, but Teague Cameron has 13 weight classes. Not as many strong guns in there, but that second place race is going to be pretty big or pretty tight.
Gain a full 14 would be huge, and also I think the first 2 rounds, if you can make it to the semis, I think that quarterfinals for those super regionals is going to kind of be the game changer there. Next super regional we have up here is the Edgar Super Regional, where we have 16 qualifiers, 6 place winners, and one of those 6 place winners, another state champ returning. Yep. We have Derek Goddard and Colton Weiler of Auburndale. Goddard qualified at 106. Weiler, your boy Steve, placed 4th at 113 pounds. You have Sloan Welch, who qualified at 182, and I think it's a safe bet to say that he finds his way on the podium this year.
Definitely.
Sebastian Nelson of Boyceville qualified at 195. Cadott has a few returning state qualifiers. Caleb Lodahl, Cole Pfeiffer, and Dawson Webster all qualified. Braden Sonnentag, of course, one of 4, I believe, Steve, shooting for their 4th state title this year.
Yep.
He placed 1st at 126. Dreyer placed 5th at 152. Might have had a typo because I thought Webster placed at 182 last year, but when you have 11 pages of notes, there might be a misnote in
couple
there
errors.
somewhere along the lines. But Troy Duelman of Cornell, Gilman, Lake Holcomb qualified at 145 last year. Wyatt Unser, Ian Radins, and Gabe Knox of Glenwood City all made it to state. Unser placed 5th at 106, and Radins was 3rd at 113. Dylan Dodson of a Marathon made it at 113, and then Stratford has a couple of state qualifiers coming back, and Trenton Kernoyer at 106, and at Jackson Ormond, who placed 5th at 182. Steve, picks-wise, I picked Cadott, you picked Stratford, or I picked Cadott and Stratford, you picked Cadott and Glenwood City. And there's a chance
I stand by that.
with Marathon in the mix,
Yes.
there's a chance we could both be wrong with that second pick.
I agree. I'm staying with my same pick. I mean, I can't change it, but Cadott, I'm still pretty confident on. They got their studs. But Stratford, Teague, all year long, Stratford has made us eat crow. We kind of wrote them off because they lost so many seniors last year in the offseason. But Glenwood City, still strong pick. And Marathon could make us all look really bad, right? I mean, Marathon might end up at that team sectional, although we know what happened at the conference tournament with Stratford.
That is
I got to give you a little shout out. Brad Baker, head coach at Freedom, is watching right now. So Brad is a guest and friend of the podcast.
The next sectional we have up here. Hey, we're in Brad's neck of the woods with this part, but a different division. We got the Bonduelle sectional. So Crivet Super Regionals up first here, returning 13 qualifiers and 6 place winners from last year. Also, we used the weights from last year just to, again, we want to give reference to names to watch for. I know everyone's at different weights this year for the most part. And also, Steve, we kind of talked about it before last year. We could talk about potential fun weight classes, but that's a lot of research, again, to do in 3 days. And it's also a lot of speculation because we see a lot of weight drops come regional. So I know we don't mind being wrong, but that could be a lot of being wrong. So, yeah. The list that we have here from the Crivet Super Regional. Got Tyson Bogatz of Bonduelle, who was 6th at 160 pounds. Ray Lemieux of Coleman made it at 113. He was joined by his teammates Brady Gross and Micah Kukta, which I heard Jake get corrected on it on their stream with the Coleman duel, and I already forgot it. So apologies to Micah and his brother Peter, who qualified at 182. Peter, yes. Big Hunger Games fan. Then Will Beaver placed 4th at 152 for Coleman as well. Crandon's returning a trio of state qualifiers in Cole Shepard at 145, Connor Lawrence at heavyweight, and Elias Glinsky, who placed 5th at 120. Brayson Kelly of Florence Niagara returns. He qualified at 152. Second ever Florence Niagara wrestler to qualify as a freshman, Steve, behind Mr. Seamus McLean.
Seamus.
Then Dylan Cummings of Alena placed 6th at 106 pounds. Yep. Ryan Roy of Wabeno Leona Three Lakes placed 5th at 170. Looking to make the podium, Steve, for the 4th time in his career. Nice. And then last but not least, we got Mr. David Gauderman of Wittenberg Burnhamwood, who placed 3rd at 220. Steve, picks-wise, we both went Coleman and Crandon, and I feel I do feel pretty confident about that one.
Pretty strong on that one. Teague, I think the name is Kukta. Kukta from Coleman is how you say it. I'm not quite sure on that, but Coleman's still a team to beat. Crandon, we've talked about them all year long, last couple of years. They're going to be a tough first-round matchup in that team sectional. Yeah, but it's still Coleman's to go here. And I got a little bit delayed on this one, so previous sectional. Matt Radins says toppers is his choice. Teague, who are the toppers?
The topper. You're the team name expert,
wow,
man.
I thought I'd give it away with Radins as far as the last name.
Oh, Glenwood. Yeah.
Glenwood City is the previous one. So, yep.
Whoops, should have read the room on that. Next super
That's right. You got a lot of info in front of you.
Next regional or super regional, Wyawega Fremont. 15 returning qualifiers, 3 returning place winners. You have a returning runner-up from Kewanee, and then Mitch Thompson, who placed 2nd at 182. His teammate Ezra Ducat placed 5th at 195. You have Matthew Bader, who I believe also wrestled for Kewanee. He made it at 220. Steve, Mason Carpenter from Lords, who was the runner-up at 120 last year. is coming back. Reedsville with a trio of wrestlers and Sam Smalls, Aiden Sevo, and Briar Crystal. They made it at 106, 126, and 132. Shiocton, we've done a lot of talking about Shiocton this year, and a big reason why. You look at the preseason, returning 4 state qualifiers, and Jordan Yonke, Dylan Herb, Neon Dion Helzer, and then Blake Carton, who made the podium, placing 6th at 132. Valders has a trio of state qualifiers coming back with Maddox Wendling, Garrett Allness, and Luke Zutz. And then Vanden Hoffman of Wyawega Fremont qualified at 220 last year. Steve, that's another pick. Made it to state last year. I think he's getting on the podium this year.
Yeah, he's improved big time.
And I went with Shiocton in Reedsville. You picked Shiocton and Wyawega Fremont.
Yeah, this is still the first place. I'll talk about them in a second. But Wyawega Fremont has 12 strong wrestlers, 630 win guys, but they have 2 holes. Reedsville has 730, near 730 win guys, and they only have 1 hole. Shiocton, they have 9 at or close to 30 win guys. The only hole is 220 pounds. And Teague, here's my question. Shiocton's got one heck of a football program, right? Shiocton guys, just go in the weight room, find a big guy, put a singlet on him, teach a double leg tackle and a bundle of arms, and you're ready to go. You got a 220-pounder. Because I tell you what, Shiocton's going to make that an interesting team sectional this coming Tuesday night.
And then speaking of team sectionals, we do a little quick regional recap, and then we talk about our team sectional picks. That'll be Sunday or Monday next week. We'll be doing that. Pretty heavy podcasting season, Steve. Next
that time of year.
Hey, next sectional up here, the Richland Center sectional. That's Division III Sectional C. We already touched on it a little bit, but looking first at the Aquinas Super Regional. You have 9 qualifiers, 6 of whom were place winners, and then 1 returning champion from that Super Regional. Top of the list here, Jake Fitzpatrick, who won a title at 106 in a dramatic fashion, mind you. He's joined by, it seems like when Aquinas went down to state last year, it's like, hey, let's get everyone on the podium. And everything went according to plan. As Tate Flaggy placed 3rd at 145. Calvin Hargrove was 5th at 160. And David Moline placed 3rd at 170. And you have Jackson Schrammick of Blair Taylor, who also qualified at 170. Cashton's returning Colin O'Neill, who qualified at 152. Gavin Brager of Independence Gilmington qualified at 182. Royal Waniwak Center had a couple of 6th place finishers in Gunnar Wopat and Colin McKittrick. And that's the list there. Steve, picks-wise, this was a fun one because I think, we both went with Aquinas, of course, and then I went with Independence Gilmington. You went with Cashton, and I think it's still kind of wide up for that one.
Yeah, definitely. Just doing some research before this one, I'd definitely say Independence Gilmington is the clear 2nd place team. Cashton, for whatever reason, numbers coming in didn't work out. Looked at conference, and they were down low. But who knows? Maybe for regionals, they might have some of those guys back.
All right, the Mineral Point Super Regional up next here. One of those where I got to take a deep breath beforehand because we have 18 qualifiers. And, Steve, this is impressive. Of those 18 qualifiers, 11 of them were place winners. Just going to get a big one out of the way right away. I went alphabetically, and we started off with Fenimore. So here we go. Amron Nutter, who placed 3rd at 106. Ian Krapp, who placed 5th at 113. Brecken Munch placed 3rd at 120. Brett Birchman also placed 3rd at 126. Tristan Stell placed 3rd at 138. Then Wyatt Anand and Nathan Ablashki qualified at 160 and 170. Iowa Grant Highland was the runner-ups at they weren't the runner-ups, but Elliot Biba of Iowa Grant Highland was the runner-up at 113. Marshall Self of Ithaca Weston placed 5th at 220. Bryce Gall of Lancaster made it at 182. His teammate Ryan McCartney placed 6th at 195. Then for Mineral Point, bringing back a great crew, you have Roan Carey, who was the runner-up at 106. Cade Rule and Carson Kroll qualified at 13 and 20. Then Lucas Sullivan and Taryn Riley both with runner-up finishes at 126 and 138. Riverdale has Ashton Meese, who placed 3rd at 160, and then Riley Wannick, who I don't know if I saw him wrestle at the Clash or not. So I think I have a question mark next to his name. Picks-wise, Steve, we both picked Fenimore and Mineral Point, and as the season's going on, it's starting to look like Iowa Grant Highland might be the second team that comes out of that one.
Yeah, before I talk about that, man, is that just a tough area of wrestling or what? I just look at these names and those guys, and it's just a battle. Unfortunately for these guys, there's fourth-place wrestlers at the sectional that won't qualify for Team State. But, yeah, we both took Mineral Point, but Iowa Grant finished 36 points ahead of them at conference. So they have to be the clear favorite for second place there. But, Mineral Point, right? They're always ready to go. I mean, Teague, we talked about them last year so much. They had a dominating quarterfinal round last year at individual state, and it just seemed like they couldn't lose.
And if it's a tie in the team race, I heard there's going to be a match between Fiedler and Iowa Grant coach Ryan Allen. So
nice, cool. That'll be worth the price of admission.
Steve, for that sectional right there, the cool thing about the new live stream format that I use is the new thing that we use to go live and whatnot. There's a little sound thing that you get with it. You get sound effects, and I'm not going to overdo it. I just want to use this sound one time. I promise, folks, I won't go full radio DJ, but D3 Sectional C has earned this one. All right, moving on.
What was that?
It's like a rap.
Wait a minute. Oh, do I get those or what? Or just you have those?
I think I might just have that interface. If you want it, maybe we can figure out.
No, don't give me control of that at all. I'll be pushing buttons all day long. That's crazy.
There's like a bottom one and all that stuff. It's good stuff.
That sound that you just made, I have never heard that before. I'm just gonna tell you. I don't know if
when
that's
you make a funny joke, oh my gosh. All right, well.
Oh, that's the boom boom. No, what you just did right there sound like an air horn.
That's what. Yeah, no, I did the air horn. I was talking about. Is it this? Yeah, that's.
Yeah, that I know. That one. Yeah. No, I meant the previous one. I've never heard that sound before.
Oh yeah, it's like a DJ air horn.
Oh, gotcha. There you go.
All right.
What happened?
I think I messed something up.
We're
good. All right. Yeah, I had too much fun. I abused it. All right, next sectional. Back to wrestling.
Just screwing around.
We have a Dodgeland, who starting off with the Random Lake Super Regional, 12 qualifiers and 3 place winners returning. You have Cedar Grove of Belgium, who's returning. Jesse Berg, who qualified at 113. Mason Hoopman, who made it at 138. And the big man, Diego Morales, who plays 4th at heavyweight, returning. I think I saw he's also titled the Beast of the Big East too.
Right.
Yeah.
Sweet.
I can't take credit for that one.
Wow.
You have Jaden Walker of Marquezan, who qualified at 182. Poinet has a couple of returning qualifiers, and James Amaker and Jackson Geithner. Random Lake, of course, with a slew of qualifiers. You have Grant Gibson at Jackson Averill and David Sanfilippo, who qualified at 13, 20, and 26. Stone Pomeroy placed 4th at 138. Torrin Vandenbush placed 6th at 152. Then Michael Upson qualified at 195. Steve, we both picked Random Lake and Cedar Grove, Belgium. We might have the order wrong on that one.
Well, Teague, we might have the order wrong. Cedar Grove, hopefully we say something cool and end up on one of their promo videos again. So I got to try to find something really neat to say about them. But they've just impressed us all year round, all year long. They're the clear-cut favorite. They're on a mission. I wrote this down. Number 2 is not clear-cut. Random Lake's a little short on numbers this year. If I had to repick it, knowing what I know now, there's a team with 70-30 win guys. They do have a couple holes, but I'm going to say number 2 coming out of that one's going to be Marquezan.
Oh, well, going with Marquezan over Random Lake. Hey, Random Lake has that postseason magic, though.
They sure do.
I like it. See, I wasn't even going to change our picks. I like it. We're going big already.
Calling it
first live.
Going live, my first time, and upsetting some people. Hey, and Tim Spray says, Teague, stop screwing around. You're hitting too many buttons.
Yeah. That's I actually see. I got all the comments pulled up from all 3 things, but. No, he's right. Tim's pretty good at keeping me in line here, so it's I
Teague,
will.
what's the third one? I have YouTube up and Facebook. What else?
There's
What else do you have live?
Rockfin, but there hasn't been any comments on Rockfin
Oh,
yet. So
gotcha. Okay,
yes.
let me
I
pop
think,
that one up.
like I said, the Rockfin crowd, that might be like the folks who know WI Wrestle more, where it's like, all right, we'll just wait. We'll see what these guys are made of here.
That's
They probably
right.
also think I'm hitting too many buttons.
That's right.
Second super regional is Horicon for D3 Sectional D. They have 4 qualifiers, 2 place winners, and 1 champion returning. Kenosha Christian Life has Drew Dolphin coming back, who placed 4th at 106. Steve looks to be on the fast track for potentially winning a state title this year.
Yeah, there's nobody that's touched him this year.
Then Mr. Koji Campbell of Kenosha St. Joe, state champ at 113, still undefeated in his high school career, looking for a state title number 2 this year. Kenosha St. Joe's also has Jaden Gordon, who qualified at 160, and then Grant Chadwick of Marshall, who qualified at 195, is returning. Steve, we both picked Kenosha Christian Life and Kenosha St. Joe's in this one. And this is one of those, to be frank, I think it could be wide open for sure.
Well, you can call me Frank or whatever name you want, but if I had to reshuffle my picks, I would say the top 2 are going to be Waterloo and Marshall. Waterloo lost by 11.5 to Marshall at the conference tournament, but Teague, guess who will be returning come regional time, who's not on your list, was a state qualifier as a freshman. None other than Trevor Ferrari, right?
He likes to drive that's it. Right.
Of Waterloo, so he will be back. So if I had to reshuffle my picks, I would say Waterloo number 1, Marshall number 2, and what's going to be a pretty close race.
I like it, man. Also, in regards to saying, I like the Frank joke, a little dad joke there. I might also start calling you Jeff now. When Nate and Jake announced the merger with us this morning, Nate just said he said Jeff and Teague, and I'm like, what? and he corrected himself right away, but I'm like, that's just great. That was really funny to me. I enjoyed it.
That's awesome. You're flying so much under the radar that they don't even know your first name. I like it.
So Nate, if you want to explain yourself on that one, I hope you're still watching. But
hey, we're good. You can call me anything you want. Just don't call me late for supper. Another dad joke, Teague. Do the little button pushing thing.
Next time. I don't want to mess anything up again. So Division 2 now. Hey, we got through that in like 20, 25 minutes. I might slow down on the talking a little bit. I'm very full of caffeine, unfortunately. But we got the Osceola Super Regional up first. Starting off with Amory here. You have Brendan Berkey, who qualified at 106. And then Elaine Anderson, who plays 5th at 113. Wyatt Ingham plays 4th at 152. Grant Cook, who plays 5th at 182. And then Coy Hopke, who plays 1st at 220, winning his 2nd title. Also still undefeated in his career. Won a couple titles since then, too. That were kind of a big deal. Yeah.
Right.
But then we have Isaac Pierce of Ashland, who plays 3rd at 220. I don't know for sure if Pierce is wrestling or not, but he did. We'll give him a little shout out here. Medford has Gage Lozowitz, returning, qualified at 132. Also heard this morning, Ian Smith of Northwestern. I don't know if he wrestled at the Hardo North, but 2-time state runner-up. I hope we can see him on the mat. If he is wrestling, Steve, that's almost a pretty good lock, whichever weight he wrestles at. And then St. Croix Falls, who one of the biggest newcomers to not only a regional or sectional, but just to a division. They're bringing back 4 qualifiers. They have Cole Steffen, who made it at 106, Kellen Kelly at 113, Griffin Marco, who plays 5th at 145, Eli Prokop made it at 195, and then rounding off the returners from the Super Regional is Mason Evans of Tomahawk, who plays 4th at 160. Then picks-wise, Steve, we both picked Amory and St. Croix Falls.
Yep. Yeah, that doesn't change. I mean, that could easily be switched around. Amory, great. That's a great rivalry, right, between these two schools. I think they're in the same conference as far as I know they play football, different things like that. But Amory, right, I mean, we not necessarily wrote them off, but they lost a lot from last year. Like Stratford, lost a lot of wrestlers, and we just, man, are they going to be able to recover? We knew they had their studs, but they're they're going out and turning some heads, and I think that's going to be a good regional battle. And speaking of that, first off, we got Cody Andres, head coach of Lodi. He's on watching, and Byron Hopke just joined as well. So 2 shout-outs to a couple guys that popped on. Just in time, Byron, for your sectional, your regional.
We Vision Quest podcast also says what's up. That's Mr. Brad Crook tuning in. Oh, we got Zion. I'm guessing that's Zion Sally from Martin Luther, who will be getting to their sectional in just a few moments here. It looks like he's on YouTube, so shout out to him for tuning in. Next super regional here, Steve. We got Neilsville, Greenwood Loyal, and 16 returning qualifiers, 5 place winners from this super regional. I just want to give a shout out first and foremost to a friend of the show, Tanner Holopka, who was injured this year. I think he got hurt during football. He will be the only person that we will post podium pictures of, because he got in on it. He sent us a podium picture and we posted it when we were a pretty small operation. And then and then we decided, like, all right, we just got to stick with just Tanner. He's grandfathered in. So, Tanner, we're excited to get some podium pics next year, man.
Right.
Pumped to see you back on the
we
map.
started posting a couple, and then everybody started sending them. Like, we're not going to be able to keep this up. We got to sleep.
And then starting off this list of folks wrestling, Colton Hush of Baldwin Woodville was the runner-up at 113. Tyler Fink made it at 132. Austin Schmidt qualified at 138. Hunter Gartman and Mosen Barabo both qualified at 145 and 285. All those wrestlers from Baldwin Woodville. You have Anthony Madsen of Ellsworth, who qualified at 170. Luke Dukes of Neilsville Greenwood Loyal is the runner-up at 120 last year. Derek Jernitz of Neilsville Greenwood Loyal placed 4th at 126. And then Gunnar Hoffman was the runner-up at heavyweight. I know he was hurt in January, Steve, but they're hoping he might be able to make a comeback. So hoping we can see him in the postseason, just for the sake of him, I would say, just being a senior.
Right. Absolutely.
Next up, we have Deaglin O'Connell of Regis Altoona and Caden Weber, also of Regis. They qualified at 106 and 182. St. Croix Central had a few qualify last year. You have Maverick Kostrak, who qualified at 106. Teague Holzer, who's on my all-name team personally.
All-names team.
He made it at 120. And then Owen Wadsley of St. Croix Central placed 5th at 152. Then finishing off here, we have Brecken Brzezinski of, that's not the right name. I have Brecken Brzezinski of Stanley Boyd, who qualified at 126. I have the wrong school down for that. Gunnar Hoffman will be wrestling at regionals. Bam.
Yeah. It's funny that popped up. Sometimes we get texts during we're doing the podcast and we're not live, and I'm like, and then I text back, hey, is it okay if I share this? Right? I don't want to give out any information that's not, that someone's sharing with us in confidence. And I saw that pop up, and I was going to respond back to Ryan and go, hey, is that all right if we share that? I didn't realize everybody could see that, but yeah, that's great news. Awesome. Way to go, Gunnar.
All right, we got, looks like Mr. Joe Delabrew is on. We're going to be coming up to Sectional B here. Well, basically right now, picks-wise, Steve, I picked Baldwin and Neilsville Greenwood Loyal. You picked Baldwin and St. Croix Central. This one could be interesting, man. We know Baldwin and St. Croix had a really good duel. For my Neilsville pick, I just think a lot of guys that I was expecting to be in the lineup, they're not there at this point right now. Having Gunnar back is huge, but it's a little tough when you have St. Croix Central in that team race. And then also, Steve, they managed to find their way in this conversation. Ellsworth, who has a pretty solid squad. And then Regis Altoona has a pretty good team, too. If they have a good day, I think that second spot could be a fun one.
Yeah, you nailed it, Teague. Took all my notes right there. Ellsworth, we kind of, another team that over the last couple of years have been sleeping on. And Regis Altoona, second at conference, but only 11 in the lineup. If they can get a couple more guys and fill those spots in, score some points, they could easily be that second team.
Next up is the Wrightstown sectional. So with the O'Connell Pro Super Regional here. Yeah, Wrightstown boy right here. Rocking the blue tonight,
Tigers.
Too.
Yeah, well, it's
Brewers.
There you go. Brewers. I got my Badger hat on, Milwaukee Brewers shirt on. Packer
I
socks
should have
on.
maybe rocked a hat for tonight. Yeah.
And I do have my Teague. I have my Bryant and Stratton Wrestling Bobcat shirt on underneath, by the way.
Shout out
Shane Kennelly.
Shane Kennelly. They're having a good year so far, too. First super regional here is O'Connell Falls, who has 12 qualifiers and 7 place winners returning. You have Jake Hall of Amherst, who qualified at 145. Peter Tomajevic of Freedom qualified at 106. Peter Tomajevic does not wrestle for Seymour, by the way. I'll just double down on that. Nathan Vandehei of Freedom, the runner-up at 145. Tucker Brockman placed 6th at 170. Josh LaHaye and Patrick Moore also made it for the Irish at 182 and 195. Steve, the crazy part with Freedom is their 170 through 195 lineup could be different guys than the list that we had here, and they'll still probably be down at state.
Right.
Their depth in the upper weight's just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I'll just say it now. I was going to save it for the end when the team picks came out, but Freedom has just been strong all year. I mean, they almost won the Northern Badger. I think, Teague, we covered it a couple times this year. They send varsity reserve teams to tournaments and place in the top 3, maybe even won one. They just have, when you have that many good wrestlers and that much depth to be able to move guys around, you're dangerous.
Next up is New London, who played Wyatt Magolski placed 3rd at 106. Austin Schmalenberg qualified at 132. DeEvian Ross placed 5th at 220 for the Bulldogs. And you have Cole Boziel of O'Connell Falls, who placed 6th at 126 last year. It's been fun. We got to watch him at state last year, Steve, and then to see him at Bi-State, and he's scarily gotten better. You have Connor Thomas of Peshtigo, who placed 6th at 220. Just glad to see him on the mat and just to see him wrestling in general. And then you have Ryan Tomajevic. This one is wrestling for Seymour. He placed 5th at 138 last year. Steve, picks-wise, we both picked Freedom and O'Connell Falls. I don't have the assignments up here.
Yeah, I asked somebody, Teague, while you're finding that, I was doing a little research trying to find who the second-place team would be after Freedom. And I asked somebody from up in that area, I said, what do you think? And they said, I have no idea. It's wide open for whoever's going to be the second-place team.
I still like O'Connell Falls, a team, again, that I'm really we've just been preaching them all year. It'll be fun to see where Peshtigo finishes in this super regional. I think, maybe not like this year for competing for a spot at sectionals, but they're a good team, and they've been improving throughout the year. So they'll be a team that I'll be watching in the standings.
Yeah, right, the Bulldogs, the Peshtigo, they do have 7 25-plus win guys, so they could be that team.
All right, the Denmark Super Regional. Had to get a little water in me before we go into this one.
This one's crazy, huh? 25 qualifiers coming back.
I'm going to try my best to consolidate this one. But 25 returning qualifiers, 10 of whom are place winners, and a 1 champion who, thankfully, I think we should be seeing on the mat. But you have Logan Mueller of Brilliant, who was the runner-up at 106. Bob Huntley placed 6th at 113, and Damon Schmidt rounding it off for the state returners for Brilliant at 182. Hunter Heller from Chilton Hilbert placed 6th at 106 pounds. Brett Soke from Denmark qualified at 120. Kiel had Ian DeSellier, who was the runner-up at 126. And Connor Faust and Ben Keenbaum qualified at 52 and 82. Luxembourg Casco. All right, here we go. Isaac Jarabic qualified at 113. Easton Warachek placed 4th at 120. Blakely Bastion made it at 126. Caleb Delabrew qualified at 132. And I'm guessing they helped Mr. Max Ronsman in the practice room become a state champion. Ronsman, who I think he is back, Steve, did win state at 138 last year. And Ryan Ruthio, who qualified at 160. This one's funny. So they have Trace Shanebeck, who placed 5th at 170, and Sam Schutz, who qualified at 170. Schutz made it at 170 in Division III. He did move from another school, so they didn't have 2 guys make it. Their 170 depth wasn't like crazy good.
2 entrants in the state tournament. That's 8 qualifiers, by the way.
Wow. You have Matthew Wilderdink of Oostburg, who made it at 106. Nash Banco of Oostburg, who made it at 138. Going off of Oostburg real quick, hoping to see my boy Rigoberto Taez make it for Oostburg this year. Silas Daly of Plymouth placed third at 170. You have Jake Shaver of Sheboygan Falls, who made it at 126. And then Alaric Muckerhide, who also made it for Falls at 170. Ben Roman from Sturgeon Bay, Sevastopol, qualified at heavyweight. Two Rivers had Justin Klinkner qualify at 170. And also Chase Mathias, who placed third at 195. And then rounding off here, Steve, it's the Tigers. Nick Alexander for Wrightstown.
Let's go Tigers. Yep.
He placed third at 145. I picked Luxembourg, and we both picked Luxembourg and Brilliant. I know we had Wrightstown kind of as that third place team, but Steve, we were a little hesitant to pick them, but could Kiel or Chilton be the teams from that moved up from that other sectional that potentially break into that top two?
Yeah, Kiel maybe. Obviously, it's Luxembourg's to go. I didn't want to be a homer during it, but Wrightstown's lineup has really developed over the year, which I didn't think it was going to. Thought they're going to be a little bit scarce in those upper weights. Brilliant, Wrightstown, and Kiel are going to be battling this out for second place.
All right, next sectional we have here is the Wisconsin Adels sectional. Richland Center super regional. Richland Center gets to host all the events, and rightfully so. Good field house, good food, good hospitality.
Yeah, that's the third tournament there this year, right?
1, 2,
yeah, you were
3.
You were at one.
I think they have a sectional too. Yeah, they do have the D3 sectional.
You got the sectional. That's right.
Also,
hey, by the way, guys, just a reminder: feel free to send us your picks. Tell us what you think.
We will be posting our picks on social media tomorrow. So give everyone a couple
Not our
of days.
Updated ones. Our original ones, right?
The preseason ones will be posting. Right. No amendments on those. The Richland Center Super Regional, 17 qualifiers, 9 place winners, and 4 champs returning from this one, Steve. That was like the D3. I think it was like the Cameron Regional from last year that had.
Last year, correct.
Yes. Dodge will start off with 2 of those state champs, and Charlie Might and Reed Spurley, who won at 106 and 113. And Melman at GET has Jackson Blaken, who qualified at 126. Braden Lockington did qualify at 220, but I know he did get hurt, and I'm pretty sure he is out for the postseason. We'll mention his name nonetheless. Got our third state champion, Zane Licht of Lodi, Mr. Takedown season record holder himself. He won it at 152 last year. Mauston Aceta has Drake Gazda coming back, who qualified at 113. Sawyer Ostrom of Nakusa Assumption also made it at 113. Prairie du Chien with just a few coming back here. Ryder Koenig qualified at 126. Rhett Koenig, another member of the potential 4-timer club this year.
Yep.
Won at 132. Drew Hurd placed 6th at 138. Luke Kramer placed 5th at 145. Maddox Shaka did place 6th at 152. He was hurt to start the year. They were hoping to get him back by postseason time. He didn't wrestle in conference. But if he can be back even for team sectionals or team state, that would be huge for sure. Then Brogan Brewer of Prairie du Chien made it at 170, and Blake Theory qualified, and he made the podium, placing 6th at 195. You have Teague Perkins of a Richland Center who placed 4th at 220. I put a little more emphasis on that one subconsciously.
Yeah, the all-name team. There's a lot of Teagues. There's another Teague for Beloit Turner as well, right?
Yeah, I think they might have 1 or 2. Yeah.
That's 3.
And River Valley has Landon Radke made it at 145, and then Viroqua with Ethan Dobbs, who qualified at 132. We both picked Prairie du Chien and Lodi, and I still feel pretty good about that, Steve, but there might be a third team in the mix here.
There's a third team. Every year, Teague, we have 1 or 2 teams that we didn't pick in the preseason, and they just go out on a vengeance tour to prove us wrong. And, man, GET, Melrose Mindoro's that team this year. They just keep surprising us every single day. Every single week, I should say.
Next up is Portage.
Oh, hey, Teague, I got to say this. You keep talking about Teague. It's funny. My name is not as popular. My wife the other day showed me a little post on social media or somewhere she found it and said, my name is number 4 on a list of 10 of names that are going extinct. So how does that make you feel?
Oh man.
Yeah, so nobody's naming their kid Steve, right? I mean, think about that, right? A kid comes out and you look at it and you go, I think we'll call him Steve. It's just doesn't go well. Doesn't flow off the tongue.
That's everyone's going for really unique names now. I think that's kind of the
Right.
yeah. Steve's a nice name, you know. That's
Oh, thank you.
that's
I appreciate it. It's a dying name, but it's a nice name.
Oh, that's, moving on. I had some other
Hey,
comment, but we'll get back on the right track here. We
well, hold
got
on. I got to give a shout out. Tony Geiger out of Brillion, class of 1992. Tony, maybe I don't know something like that, but coaches out there, great guy, and I tell you what, he's on watching, so we appreciate you. And Ryan, who's Ryan? Is that Ryan? No, Steve Ryan. Oh, Steve Ryan said, "Hey, the guy with two first names. What's wrong with Steve?" Yeah, you're right. Steve, you and I imagine Steve, I'm just going to guess your age, but you're over 40, right? Because it seems like I have never met a Steve that's under 40 years old.
I just thought people named Steve just came into existence at the age of 40, and I thought that was
could be
the deal.
Yeah.
All right,
I have not met a Steve underneath 40. Anyway, get back to wrestling.
We got the Portage Super Regional up next. 16 qualifiers, 5 place winners, 1 a champ returning. Hey, who better to start off with here than the Haitian sensation Austin Blanchard from Campbellsport, placing 3rd at 126. Sam Koth of Campbellsport placed at 132. And Joseph Vols, Koth qualified at 132. Vols also qualified at 220. Kewaskum with a trio of returners, and Nick DeHeck, who made it at 145. Braden Scholes, who won it at 160. Also, I think that's the 3rd member, Steve. I think we still have one more looking for his 4th this year. Then Dylan Soik also qualified at 195 for Kewaskum. Lomira has Oscar Lopez and Turner Wagoner, who made the state last year at 113 and 160. Bryce Crowley placed 5th at 132. Anthony Nyber from Waupun qualified at 145, and his teammate Easton Hull made it at 152. Then Winneconne closes off the list here with Chase Sternard and Garrett Marks, who made it at 6th and 13. Brody Hart placed 6th at 32. Aiden Hart placed 3rd at 138. And then Nate Jeckort qualified at 160 for the Wolves. Steve, we both picked Campbellsport and Winneconne in a different order. Let me see. All right, fun. I exited out of the picks tab. I think, did I pick Winneconne first? Regardless of the order we went in, I think Winneconne looks pretty good right now. But also, Elmira beat Campbellsport in conference.
Really? Hey, Teague, where I was trying to look it up today, and I must have to switch my classes and go to another one. Kewaskum's in there. Right?
I forgot about Kewaskum. Yes. So Elmira beat Campbellsport, who was one of our picks, but we cannot forget about Kewaskum, who their freshman class is definitely has really strengthened their roster this year.
Are they not in the same conference?
I don't know conference wise. I'm a little fuzzy on conferences. But
sure.
Regardless, the fact that they're in the super regional, I think they might be the team that proves us wrong here, Steve.
I'm trying to look it up quick, Teague. I'm not a savant when it comes to this stuff here, but Kewaskum, let's see. John agrees with me. He just posted,
They're in Winneconne's conference, it looks like.
Okay.
Oh, they had a good battle. Yeah.
Right. It was close. I thought when we did the conference preview or recap, I thought it was a close, within 10 points, wasn't it?
Well, I'm glad you brought them up because I almost just completely passed by them. But
that's my job. I like to find all the fine details and really keep us on track.
You're the organizer of the group, which is scary.
That's right. Organization and tech, very tech savvy. Those are my 2 skills.
And then the last sectional we have is the Evansville sectional. We got the Belleville Super Regional here first. So it's being hosted at Belleville. 10 qualifiers returning, 6 of whom are place winners, and then 2 of which are champions. You have Mason Mao we're just sticking with Sugar River now, Steve. He qualified at 126 pounds. You have the big man Porter Mandarano from Belmont Platteville, who placed 6th at heavyweight. Marcus McIntyre of Broadhead, Judah, qualified at 138. Ethan Aird of Darlington Blackhawk placed 4th at 106. That's not all for Darlington Blackhawk. You have Owen Sefrud, who was the runner-up at 132. No, he did get hurt at conference, hoping he can be back for Super Regionals. Really, really hoping he can be back. Braylon Gable, who qualified at 160. You have Chris Carbosh of, I have Darlington, but he's from Delavan Darien. He placed 6th at 120. Then the Evansville returning a couple of state champion brothers, Steve. Danny Heiser qualified at 120. Well, he qualified and then he won.
That's right.
State champ at 120. And then Owen Heiser won at 170. I know it was a little late in the season, Steve, but you did say he was back. And then, Steve, who better to finish off this Super Regional than with Mr. El Quesero Gigante himself, the giant cheesemaker, Isaac Bunker.
I hope you got to make him a T-shirt and give that to him.
I don't even.
The giant cheesemaker.
So we both picked Evansville and Darlington Blackhawk, and I feel pretty good about that one.
Yeah, those are good picks. Those are good picks.
Steve,
I'm curious, has Darlington Blackhawk ever been to the team sectional? This would be a great experience and a good step builder for their program.
Hey, Mr. It's Jim Sefrud saying all good. So that's I'm taking that as good news.
All good.
Perfect.
As far as what? I'm sorry. What's all good? I missed that part.
In regards to Owen wrestling this week.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep. Steve, the last Super Regional is Jefferson, which I think – so they had 0 returning state qualifiers. I think it's a case of teams from that sectional moving to different sectionals that had all the returning qualifiers. Yep. And also they had quite a few qualifiers that graduated too. So
sure,
I
all
just
seniors.
think the Super Regional is a young crop, and what makes it fun, Steve, is it gives a lot of guys whose names that might not be on our radar. It could put them on the map, which is awesome. It just gives them an opportunity to make that next level. So
we'll be talking a lot about them next year then.
Exactly. And team-wise, we both picked Whitewater and Martin Luther. I think that's going to be a fun battle for first, Steve, and I do think it will be those two. If there's anyone that thinks a third team could make the mix there, please let us know. But that's I feel pretty good about those two making it out of that one. The thing I like about this, we've said a lot of good things about Shoreland Lutheran, and I think Lake Country as well. But maybe there are those teams that they have a really good tournament at the right time.
Yeah, watch out for Jefferson. They have a good numbers, about 25 kids in the program. I've been watching their middle school program. They're starting to build in the right spots, and they could challenge Martin Luther. Martin Luther did win the Pacer Premier, which is basically that conference tournament as well. So I'm sticking with Martin Luther.
All right, next up here is going to a Division I.
D1,
where we have the Eau Claire North Regional. And, Eau Claire North Sectional. So the Holman Regional, we're going back to regional now. So a little familiarity. But Holman Regional, so there's 4 returning qualifiers, 1 returning place winner. You have Turner Campbell of Holman, who qualified at 113. Andrew Weiss, who qualified at 126. Preston Cradaville of Holman, who placed 5th at 132. And then Gavin Finch of Toma, who qualified at 126. And also a lot of the other teams in here, like West Salem Bangor, had a lot of 3rd place or 4th place sectional finishers in D2 last year. There's a lot of good individual talent that just didn't make the Cole Center. So this should be a fun one.
Because it's a tough sectional, right? And only top 2 go, so a lot of good kids get left home watching in the cheap seats, so to speak, right down at the Cole Center.
And we both picked Holman and West Salem Bangor in this one.
Yeah, and I don't see anything that has happened that we would change those.
Yeah, I think we might have a different answer for this next one. We'll see. The Hayward and Northwood Regional, which I'll actually be at Hayward Northwood this weekend. It's going to be, I'm guessing, probably like the last official like Wisconsin wrestler stream that we'll be doing on our YouTube page. But I just got in for that one. Figured, hey, why not make the trek up to Hayward? Maybe I'll take a picture with the fish, Steve.
There you go.
Yeah.
The 300-yard, 300 feet long fish.
Yes, that's not real.
Yeah, that's a backstory. We shouldn't bring inside jokes for some people that don't know, but
That's a deep cut. Go to the regional preview with Chris Hansen 2 years ago. Hayward, Northwoods Regional. There's 11 returning qualifiers, 4 or 5 returning place winners, and 1 returning champion. You have Liam Neitzel of Hudson, who plays 4th at 106 pounds. Ryan Rambo of Hudson, the all-name team originator, Steve, in his senior year. So I think we got to get an all-name team out for sure.
Yeah, and he'll be our special guest for that one.
And then Marshfield with a trio of returners, and Caleb Denny, who qualified at 120. Hoyt Blaskowski, who plays 3rd at 138. Then Garrett William-White, who qualified at 52. Menominee with Brayden Casey coming back, the state champ at 106. And he'll be joined by Kellen Aubrey, who was a runner-up at 32. New Richmond has Luke Kamish, who qualified at 113. Travis Molter of River Falls qualified at 113. Gavin Cole, I saw he wrestled in December, but I don't know. Sure. I haven't seen a match since. Yeah.
Sure.
And then Connor.
That's the real rip guy, Teague, right? Gavin Cole.
That would be the one. Yeah.
Well, Gavin Cole.
Well, he looked like he was 195, but he wrestled 182. Yeah.
182. Chiseled from granite, man.
Then Connor Krieger from the Superior at 126. He qualified at 126. He'll be in this regional. Steve, all right, so Gavin is out as confirmed by Mr. Casey. We both picked Marshfield and Hudson, Steve. I mean, to start off the year, one of the first duels we pointed out was Hudson winning that duel by criteria over Menominee, and Menominee has not gone away since.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be a team. I'm going to be right up there in Hayward, Northwood. If we're wrong, I will be the first one to hear about it.
You bet. So you're saying Marshfield, you're still picking Marshfield, but you're saying it could be a flip-flop with Hudson.
So Marshfield and Hudson, yep, exactly.
Yep. Okay.
It could be a fun one. Yeah, Cody Kwok also got to see him at sectionals last year. I actually commentated. His parents were right by me.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, he did get injured before state, and now that he's back, a good addition to a pretty deep lineup. I took a deeper look at their lineup today, and they could be a threat, man. It's going to be a lot of fun matches there. I'll be calling the action all day. Moving on to the Shawano Community sectional. We have the Merrill Regional first here. 10 returning qualifiers, 1 returning place winner. You have Easton Cooper of DC Everest, who qualified at 120. Deacon Trotz, who qualified at 26. And then Blake Heel rounding it out for DC Everest, who qualified at 138. Ryder Deppies of Merrill qualified at 220. Gavin Osterman of Rhinelander, representing the Hodags, qualified at 182. Stevens Point with a pair of qualifiers at 45 and 52, and Cale Roth and TJ Sherrill. And then Rapids, of course, with their team coming back. Landon Freeman placed 5th at 106. Carter Freeman qualified at 120, and Bennett Weidman qualified at 160. We both picked Rapids and DC Everest in this one, Steve.
Yeah. Would you change anything, Teague? Because I definitely would. Rapids, only Teague, did we count out Wausau West, right? I mean, how many guys did they lose last year? A whole bunch of seniors, didn't they?
It depends on the lineup we see from Rapids at regionals. Because I think Wausau West and Rapids.
I'm sorry, did I say Rapids? Close. Yeah, Wausau West, I mean, they lost a whole bunch of guys.
Right? Yeah, so Wausau West lost 11 starters. They returned 3 of their 14.
Right. But here's the thing with Wausau West. If you look at track wrestling at their skin full, it's just like a toilet paper roll of names. They got a packed wrestling room, right? And it's just when you've got that many guys and that many great competition, that was a head turner when they only lost by 4 at conference to Wisconsin Rapids. So that one could be wide open.
Also, when you're talking about Wausau West, it made me think of girls wrestling. We will be adding, now that there's a girls sectional, Steve, we'll either be doing, probably going to be on the same sectional podcast, but probably a little girls preview too as well for that. Nice. I think if we do a separate podcast, it would be 3 podcasts in a week. So I think we're going to do the guys and girls together for sectionals is what the game plan will be for that one. I'm gonna be in a really fun sectional for the ladies for that weekend. I'll be in Eau Claire North that weekend.
Nice.
But yeah, picks wise, that could be an interesting one. For the Green Bay West Regional, you have 8 qualifiers, 5 place winners, and 1 champ returning. Starting off with the champ, Jacob Ward of Bayport was the champ at 145. Micah Beckett of De Pere qualified at 106. Michael Alexander of De Pere placed third at 182. Ethan Eggert of Pulaski placed fifth at 113. Chase Wozencraft of Pulaski qualified at 170. And then Trenton Gibbons, the runner-up, at 182. Mason Wells, I don't know. I don't think he's wrestled all year. He placed third at 220. Caden Young from Toronto closing out here with a friend of the show. He qualified at 170. We both picked Pulaski and Bayport, Steve, with a different finishing order. You picked Bayport first, and I think you might have ended up with the winner there.
Well, we'll see, right? I mean, Bayport did finish 21 points ahead of Pulaski at the Pulaski Invitational, but you're right. Bayport has just impressed us all year round.
Also, we have Shelly Druckery just saying no with 5 O's. So
yeah, I don't know what that means, right? And I realized as I go ahead. What do you got?
I was gonna say maybe she doesn't like Northeast wrestling, but that was just like a tongue-in-cheek comment. I'm guessing it was just something else.
Gotcha.
No, what were you gonna say? Sorry.
I was just I rip on a word I said. I had a word slip. I said all year round, all year long, right? Round, long, whatever.
Year round?
Whatever.
No, that's no.
All year round. Does that make sense? That's grammatically correct. Year round.
No, you're good.
Oh,
yeah.
All right. Sounds good.
Set there.
Good.
We
don't
have
a little English lesson.
I'll say this now. Let's establish it. I think we might have the grammar pronunciation on RQ. So that's one thing we got going for us. Yeah.
Perfect.
For the Wanakee sectional, we got Sun Prairie East-West Regional, which 6 qualifiers, 4 place winners, and 1 champ returning. Starting off with the man-child himself, or man-cow. It's a regional thing.
That's right.
Jackson Mankowski of Madison La Follette. He was the champ at 220 pounds. You have Brandon Little of Oregon, who qualified at 138. Chance Suddeth of Stoughton placed third at 120. Cole Starbacher qualified at 132. And then Mr. Griffin Empey was the runner-up at 285. And Chris Anderson to Sun Prairie placed sixth at 106. We both picked Stoughton and Sun Prairie, Steve.
Yeah, I'm sticking with those picks. Stoughton has their 5 or 6 studs, and they just seem to perform best at this time of year. Normally, we would be saying this is a team state lock, but we can't say that this year, right? Sun Prairie, I think, is going to finish second. They finished by about 70 over this next team, but I am going to give a shout-out. Madison East, just props to their program, right? I mean, a couple of years ago, 5-6 kids, not very strong, and just all year long we've been watching them just rise, numbers up to 13 to 14 weight classes filled. So whatever you guys are doing over there in Madison East, keep doing it.
We got, someone asked for the last sectional. Is it known if Owen Griesbach will be wrestling for regionals? Based on the injury I heard, I would say no on that one, but don't quote me if he is wrestling there. But I'm leaning towards no. But yeah, next super regional, or sorry, or just regionals now. DeForest.
Yep.
7 qualifiers, 1 place winner coming back. You have Luke Stotts of Baraboo, made it at 182. Cole Cunningham of Mount Horeb-Barneveld, who made it at 106. J.J. Porch of Mount Horeb-Barneveld also qualified at 113. Reedsburg has a pair of state qualifiers coming back in at Devin Judd, who made it at 170, and Jesus Gonzalez, who qualified at 285. Then the Freight Train, Nolan Vills, he plays 4th at 285. And then, Steve, Nolan Vills, he got another nickname today. Nate called him something. Oh, the Mountain Man. That's what it was.
The Mountain Man. All right.
So, you guys are going to have like a nickname battle or something to see you.
We'll put it on social media and see what the crowd likes best.
Oh, I like that idea. That's fun. Let's. I might need to send a text here quick to get that idea out there.
I just like Freight Train. I mean, it just rolls off the tongue, but the Mountain Man does as well. I agree.
And Jack Schweitzer of Wanakee, who made it at 220 last year. Speaking of Ville, Steve, that 285 sectional bracket's going to be ridiculous. We'll talk about that next week, though.
That's right.
We both picked Reedsburg and Mount Hora Barneveld in this one. I got to pull up my D1 assignments. I feel very good about Reedsburg after what they did in the Badger Conference.
Yeah, I got to correct this real quick, Teague. On our conference recap, I asked what was the last year that either Stoughton or Milton did not win the Badger, and I did get that corrected. I wrote it down somewhere. The last time was, it was 2014 was the last time Stoughton or Milton didn't win it, and that, like I said, it was Sauk Prairie. So Reedsburg, I want to say this is the first time they've won conference, and they are just on fire. That's a tough conference, so they are definitely the favorite. I would just obviously, based on taking a look at how teams finished, I have it pulled up right in here. If I had to change my pick, if I could change my pick, I'd say Wanakee is the favorite to finish second out of this one.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, really good freshman class again. We're not youth wrestling. We're not really on the ball with that one as much, which kind of makes things more exciting as the year goes on. We get to see those freshmen come in, but Wanakee's freshman class has really rounded out their team well. So, yeah, if I had to change, Wanakee might be that second pick, but hey, I'll keep Mount Hora Barneveld there in the mix. Next up here is the Oshkosh North sectional, where we have the Kaukauna Regional first. There's 11 returning qualifiers, 8 of whom are place winners, and then 1 returning champion. You have Jake Stoffel of Appleton North and Brock Arndt also of North. They both placed third, although at little different weight classes. Stoffel was at 132, Arndt was at 195. Wyatt Skiba of Hortonville was the runner-up at 113. Lucas Peters of Kaukauna, runner-up at 120. Brian Winans of Kaukauna, third at 126. Connor Smith qualified at 132. Judah Hammond qualified at 160. And Steve, the last member of our potential four-timer club for this year anyways, Mr. Grayson Clark, who won his third title at 138 last year. And rest of the lineup for the regionals, you have Carson Otis of Kimberly, who placed third at 152. Jacob Herm of Neenah, who was the runner-up at 106. And then Nick Novak of Neenah, who was the state qualifier at 152. Steve, I picked Kaukauna and Hortonville. You picked Kaukauna and Neenah. Hortonville edged out Neenah in the duel. They edged out Neenah at conference. Can they do it one more time?
It's going to be a tough one, right? I'm just looking at this, all these teams here and these wrestlers. It's just one of those things where you wish you could be at every gym come regional and sectional time, and you can't. So many great wrestlers and so many great teams.
I forgot to mention, just like the ratio of 11 qualifiers and then all but 3 of them made the podium. That's just ridiculous.
Yep. That's pretty good.
Then the Slinger Regional, where they have 9 returning qualifiers, 5 returning place winners, and 2 returning champions. You have Noah Diebert of Hartford, who qualified at 160. Copeland Baird of Oshkosh North, who made it at 285. Ryland Schneider of Oshkosh West, who made it at 120. Casey Gish of West Bend East placed third at 170. And then West Bend West returning a handful of state qualifiers and mostly place winners. You have Ethan Bast, who qualified at 106. Don't be surprised to see him on the podium this year. Ben Bast of West Bend West placed fourth at 113. Carter Lovey was sixth at 152. And then, Steve, you know who I'm bringing up. Connor and Cole Mirasola, who won it at 182 and 195.
Just awesome. Yeah. Have you gotten to see those guys wrestle in person this year?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. It's
just, man.
They're just on a different level.
It's different, right? When you watch them on a screen, it's not the same. You see them in person, it's very impressive.
It's above my wrestling knowledge, where I'm like, all right, how do I even commentate this? This is just they know more about this sport 3 times more than I do. Steve, picks-wise, this one's going to be fun in terms of picks because I picked Oshkosh West and West Bend East. You picked West Bend West and Beaver Dam.
Totally different teams, right?
I think the only one where we have totally different teams. So
in all of our 3 years of picking, I don't think that's ever happened.
what are our thoughts heading into that one? I mean, where do we even stand? Because I don't know if I have answers, really. West Bend West did win their conference, but that was with kind of a different lineup.
I almost threw this out. I said something during the conference recap, and I said, oh, Teague, ask me about that later. And it was about West Bend West. And what I was going to say was they could be that second team, right, out of the sectional. I think they're tough. They filled up some holes. They got their studs. I just think they're strong. I'm going to stick with West Bend West on that one.
Next up is the Homestead sectional, where you have the Nicolay Regional first, 12 qualifiers, 3 place winners returning. Of those place winners, 1 was a champ. Starting off with the Germantown, you have Reese Wild Thornberry, who qualified at 132. You have the runner-up at 138 and Talon Schutte. Eli Rabidou qualified at 145. Ethan Riddle was the champ at 160. Jonah Stammer from Homestead qualified at 142. Charlie Millard was the runner-up at 152 for Homestead. And then their teammate Thomas O'Leary qualified at 182. Then, of course, Nicolay, 5 returners, all state qualifiers. Ryland Smith, who qualified at 106. Dylan Lewandowski at 120. Ben Ott at 152 has had a great year. Caleb Reiswick made it at 182. Max Stolmacher qualified at 285. There has been a different wrestler wrestling at heavyweight. Thank you, Mr. Jason McGillivray. Why does Teague look like a homeless person? Well, Jason, I like to play with my hair, so now that it's kind of disheveled, I'm just up here. I have my light. You know what, Steve? Well, okay, I picked Germantown and Nicolay. You picked Germantown and Homestead. I'm going to turn my light on, see if that helps.
Please don't make any comments on me. I don't have the self-confidence to stand that. Way to go, Jason. Oh, man.
All right.
I don't know what you asked me. As far as team picks go, I'll just get back on.
I'm going to add that to the broadcast. I don't know.
I really like Jason. He says, Steve looks normal. If only you knew me, Jason.
I got Jason's comment. Everyone can see it on all the streams. Anyway.
Oh, hey, you look good, man. You look good. As far as picks go, Germantown's good. They're just good. And if I had to repick it, Nicolay with all those state qualifiers returning, Homestead's got some good wrestlers, but I would give the nod to Nicolay on this one. And before Teague, you go, I'm going to just give a shout out to Cambridge assistant wrestling coach Corey Stenjamin's watching.
Hey, love to see it. Where are you seeing where specific people are like logging in?
I'm on Facebook on my phone.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and it doesn't do it for everybody because there's like 30 people watching, and every now and then, like it says Brad Baker came and Cody Andres came, and then Corey Stenjam. So I don't know how it goes.
Jack, we are currently on D1 sectional E. So we got a couple sectionals left, and then we started with D3 and D2. So we're getting near the end of this one. But yeah, which one were you looking for? You can let us know in the comments. Steve, picks wise, I know Nicolay kind of had a rough North Shore, but I still want to roll with them here. I do like your Homestead pick a little more though at this time of year. Ernie Millard's just doing good things with that program for sure.
Right on.
Then Steve, the Oconomowoc regional.
Yes.
So yes, this is where Shelly Druckery should be saying yes with like 5 S's now. We're at Arrowhead. We got 7 returning qualifiers, 4 of whom are place winners, and then 1 at champion. We got Colin McDowell of Arrowhead who plays 3rd at 106. Connor Krumer made it at 126. Wyatt Duchateau, the Duchateau Show, won it at 132. Nate Druckery qualified at 138. And Mr. Noah Mulvaney was the runner-up at 170. You have Jaden Yauk of Oconomowoc who qualified at 120. Then Quentin Wolbert who placed 5th at 126 pounds. Steve, we both went with Arrowhead and Oconomowoc, and I feel pretty good about that one.
Yeah, Oconomowoc's made some good strides, right? Taking those steps as a program, but Arrowhead, you talk about teams that have turned. If a team that's already been that good can still turn heads, you know that they're making great steps with their program, right? I mean, that's hard to say they're taking the next step when they're like just already at the top. But man, I tell you what, that's going to be a fun state tournament. Dare I look ahead that far?
Right? I mean, even when we get to talk about the team sectional next week, it'll be a fun one.
Yep.
Jack, real quick, you did live-wise, you missed D1 Sun Prairie. You can always go back and look at it, Rockfin, Facebook, YouTube, and then we have our podcasts and directories as well. I think people like to listen to us. There's long drives during wrestling season. They kind of just turn on the show, and then, we're good. We're good driving podcasts.
Mr. Nilo, is it Nilo or Nilo? Teague?
Yep.
Nilo, yeah, he said we met him last year at Individual State, and he said every time you guys have a new podcast that comes out, I put it on over work, and I tell everybody to shut up because I only want to listen to the podcast. So Mr. Nilo puts it on at work. We appreciate him, and feel free to do that at work.
Also, since we're on this regional, Ryan Woods just texted me today. He's like, that time of year with like 5 exclamation points at the end, and just love the energy that dude brings. Steve, next up is the Milwaukee sectional. We're making decent time for us.
Hey, Teague, Shelly Druckery did put down yes with 6 S's.
Hey, love the enthusiasm. We got the Milwaukee Riverside Regional here. 11 returning qualifiers, 3 returning place winners. Ben Otto from Brookfield Central placed 4th at 170. Next up, we got a good little group from Beast. You have Matthew Syme, who qualified at 120. Aiden Crowley placed 6th at 126. Brett Scaug was Scaug, not Scroug. Scaug placed 5th at 145. And Johnny Botch qualified at 160. Milwaukee with a few qualifiers, and Caleb Cady, who made it at 132. Jacob Brunner, who made it at 145. And then Connor Tubin qualified at 152. The Wauwatosa co-op with 3 as well. Nathan Milkey made it at 106, and then Emmett Pease and Nikita Adamov made it at 126 and 132. Steve, we both picked Brookfield East and Milwaukee in this one. I still feel good with those picks, I would say. I don't know about the order necessarily, but you know me, I'm gonna ride with Beast.
Yeah, Beast number 1. I was gonna say. I'm surprised that you said the order. I'm comfortable with Beast being first. I'm not so comfortable that Milwaukee's going to take second, but we'll see.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be a fun one. Next regional here is West Allis Nathan Hale with 7 returning qualifiers. You have Aiden Zerbel of Waukesha North, who qualified at 152. Jimmy Wollenberg of Waukesha South made it at 120. Then you have the Guerreros from Waukesha West, Isaiah and Xavier making it at 126 and 132. Xander Kwokinen at 138. Then Wisco Lutheran rounding out the returners from this regional. Cohen Henn at 113. And then at Jordan Jackson on the other end of the weight spectrum, making it at 285 last year. Steve, we both picked Waukesha North and Waukesha West, but with different orders. I think West might be the front runner. But either way, I think with our top 2, that's I feel solid with that one.
Yeah, staying there and talking about programs and areas. You know, we love it when it just kind of seems like the bigger cities, wrestling's kind of struggling a little bit. We've been pulling for that Green Bay United team, obviously Madison East. Nice to see that. And Waukesha, Teague, what did you call it when we did our preview? The
Waukesha Triumvirate.
Triumvirate, right? And it's nice to see all 3 of those programs rising up together. So I'm sticking with the same picks. Jason says Waukesha West is going to be the top team. I kind of agree with you there, but I think either way, West and North are going to be the top 2.
Anything else you agree with him on tonight, Steve, or is that it?
I just like that he likes the way I look. I think that's fantastic. Yeah.
Next up is the South Milwaukee sectional. Is it better with the lighting, Jason? I mean, what do I need to do, man?
You look good.
We have the Franklin regional. They had 3 qualifiers. You have Dayton Klubertons, who made it at 106. Hunter Jiven from Oak Creek made it at 170. And then Connor O'Donnell of South Milwaukee qualified at 126. he's another guy who didn't make the podium that I think will definitely be on the podium for sure. And then we
You're
both
talking
picked,
about Gibbon, yeah. You said Gibbon, right?
I said
Or O'Donnell, yeah.
I think O'Donnell will be on the podium this year.
Yeah, I agree.
And we both picked Franklin and Oak Creek.
That'll be fun. I got to see them live. I called the action at Franklin against Oak Creek. Great conference battle, packed gym. I mean, it's you can go on YouTube and find it. It's on the Franklin sports page or whatever it's called. Just fun. I mean, two good teams, two conference rivals. Obviously, they have a lot of respect for each other. I don't want to say they don't like each other because it doesn't go that far, but they want to win. And but it was a fun duel, and I think Franklin's going to come out on this regional as well.
All right, next regional is the Muskego Regional. We're starting off with Muskego. You have 9 returning qualifiers. Muskego with 4 of them. You have Kale Zielinski at 106, Cole Reed at 138, Matt Kinzel at 170, Adam Javit at 182. They all qualified for state at those weights. And then New Berlin with 5 returning qualifiers. Alex Conlock qualified at 106. Ryan Gillis at 113. And Mr. Jack Gillis at 170. Thomas Para of New Berlin qualified at 220. And then Spyro Para made it at heavyweight. We both picked Muskego and New Berlin, Steve, but in a different order. I just want to check that one because this could be a big one. I picked New Berlin to win the regional and Muskego to finish second.
Oh, well, you're wrong.
All right, we'll see about that.
Oh, talking smack. I'm not a good smack talker, but that's fun. I guess it's getting late in the show. It's easier to talk smack later.
No, I think that one could be a 50-50 for us for sure. Yeah. That's what we got. Oh, what's up?
Jason, let me just comment on Jason. He said, the hair, you just had to fix that. You had a strand of hair. You were kind of doing the twirl thing, right?
I was playing with it. Yeah, I'm a fidgety guy. I need to get like a fidget toy now that we're going to be live.
But Jason, I know it's like funny, all these things that we were never recorded on, and now we got to realize like, oh man, again, like I got to fix my background. That's a little crazy. But Jason did say the hair, but he can't really comment much on that because he lacks a little bit of it.
Touche. Yeah. Self-burn. We like to see it. Last sectional we have is the Burlington sectional. The Milton Regional, we got 6 returning qualifiers, 3 returning place winners. Starting off, Logan Clausen of Badger qualified at 106 last year. Caden Brandenburg of Janesville Parker qualified at 152. Aiden Slama of Milton placed 6th at 113 last year. Steve, you thought it was cool when Luxembourg had 2 170s that made it to state. How about Milton with Matt Haldeman, who was the runner-up at 126, and Tyson Peach, who was 4th at 126.
Right. Yeah, they had 2 qualifiers, but they have 2 place winners, right? That's impressive.
Peach, of course, wrestling for a different team last year. But then, Steve, a big one here. I know they were kind of talking about it on the WI Wrestle podcast this morning, but Josephine Stukowski did qualify for Guy State last year. We have her listed in this one. She qualified at 106. I think she's been wrestling a lot on the girls' side this year. So We'll probably be talking about her a little more next week, or we'll see what they do with her for like team sectionals or whatnot. But yeah, still a great accomplishment on her part.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Where I was talking to a coach at the Deerfield tournament about Bopa, right? Because she was there and just dominating. She took second, almost took first place, and the question was, what's she going to do, right? I mean, she could go to the girls' side and most likely win the state title, but does she want to qualify? Because we were taking a look at it, and she could qualify for state on the guys' side, right? So that's a tough call. What do you do?
And we both picked Milton and McGuanago, Steve. So
yeah, I mean, I stay with those picks. I probably switch them. I don't know if that's how I had them as Milton first and McGuanago. I'd probably go McGuanago first now, but it's gonna be a good battle.
Also, do got to give a shout out. Did not list him because I know he's out, but Zach Elishevsky, big fan of him on our show, and he won't be wrestling in the postseason. He did get hurt, so just thinking about him. It's the not fun stuff, but yeah. So that's what we got for that sectional. The Wilmot Union, that regional. Last regional we got, Steve. We're going to make it in what? Under an hour 30. We love to see it. Wilmot Union, 11 returning qualifiers, 3 returning place winners. You have Austin Scruns of Burlington, who qualified at 145. Edwin Estrada of Kenosha Indian Trail made it at 120. Then his teammates Sullivan Ramos and London Kaiser made it at 26 and 95. Jackson Henderson of Kenosha Tremper qualified at 160. Cole Doomer of Union Grove made it at 113. Riley Storm Voles also made it at 138. And then Travis Moore rounding it out for Union Grove, placing 6th at 170. Hudson Halter of Waterford placed 4th at 120. Marcus Gilmore of Westosha Central qualified at 145. I think Marcus might be the one that's out, though. There was one guy that he's graduating early. I think it might have been Jill Gilmore that commented on that feed when we went with Torres and them.
Sure.
But, yeah, so list Marcus anyways, give him a little shout-out. And then Joey Sullivan rounding off the list of what 300 names that we brought up tonight.
Right.
From Wilmot
Union. Was that called in football? Called it Mr. Irrelevant?
Mr. Irrelevant he did play 6th at 138. And he's the last one that we got. Picks wise, Steve, I picked Burlington and Union Grove. You picked Burlington and Kenosha Indian Trail. How about Kenosha Tremper in their conference, though, beating Oak Creek? Can they repeat another good conference performance?
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. Joey, let me elaborate on that one. Joey Sullivan. I wasn't calling you irrelevant. I was just making a reference to the last pick in the NFL draft. However, the good news is the last pick in the NFL draft almost went to the Super Bowl this past year. So, hey, that's good company if you are Mr. Irrelevant. But, I think second place is going to be a battle. But Teague Burlington, I think we focus so much on the other regional because it has McGuanago and Milton. I think maybe before the season, everyone just thought the battle was going to be between those two as far as who's going to go. But Burlington, very strong team and has impressed us all year long. So don't count them out. I know we can't really talk. We're not really going to talk about it right now, but next week during the team sectional battle.
Steve, that's what we got, man. Hey, first ever live show on a WI Wrestling.
Oh my gosh, Teague, that scared me.
Yeah.
I didn't know where that came from. Holy cow.
That's what we got, though, folks. Thanks for tuning in. If you're new to us, just stay tuned. We're an acquired taste, but we love to talk wrestling. I had a lot of fun tonight doing the live, man. It's fun interacting with people on the fly. For a new audience,
my biggest fear, Teague, is this: that people liked hearing our voices and liked hearing the content, and because they didn't have to look at us. Now, sometimes you put names with the voice, and you're like, oh gosh. I don't like that guy anymore. I hope that doesn't happen at all.
Hey, I hope. If not, they can always go back to just straight up listening. But
there you go.
Yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in. Like I said, I'll be at Hayward Northwood this weekend. Next week we'll be at Mineral Point for team sectionals, and then sectionals I'll be at Eau Claire North. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Tony Geiger, Popcorn and Sundrop for Saturday. That is the game plan, sir. Thank you, Leon. Thank you for tuning in as well. Yeah, I guess we just roll with the same outro, right? Like, what else do we have? There
you go. Hey, good luck Saturday. I don't know where I'm going to be yet, but I'm going to be in some gym watching wrestling somewhere.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, sorry. Where are you going to be? I didn't mean to do that while
I just said I'm going to be in some gym somewhere, but I'm 99% sure that I am going to be in Wrightstown come individual sectional.
Hey, let's go. Well, okay, thanks everyone for tuning in. Regionals this weekend, team sectional preview, regional recap podcast coming out Monday or Sunday next week. But until next time, we will catch you on the flip side.